Because we're liberate. What are we talking about? Oh my god, this is good. It's the first time I put mint in it.
Hi, this is Cristina Dam, and this is Liberate the podcast, where we educate, motivate, inspire, and liberate your consciousness. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another one of our amazing episodes of Liberate the podcast. So today, we're bringing the behind the camera in front of the camera. Our very own Rebekah. I can't believe that this is the first time that I get to interview you on the podcast. Now, Rebekah has been a part of the Liberate family for the last few years. 3 years now, right?
About that long, yeah.
And she is an incredible healer, astrologer, blah, 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 blah. I'll do a blooper there, but she has a strong intuition, amazing heart, and today we're really diving into the law of grace and transforming and transmuting and healing and, you know, a whole bunch of amazing, wonderful things.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Bada boom, bada bing. So,
thanks, Cristina.
So, Rebekah, it's my honor. I can't believe it's been this long and you have not been in this chair because...
Well, we did a deep cuts, but it's not the same.
Yeah, we did a deep cuts, but this is, you know, I think a long time ago you interviewed me too, back in Emporium days. Okay.
Right, so yeah, I did interview you quite a while ago, like a few years back.
Yeah. But Rebekah, this is all about you today.
A lot has changed since then too, because this place didn't exist, Liberate Hollywood, and so we've just been like on the journey of building this for the last couple of years, and so anyway, it's an honor. It's
an honor to have you, and you know, I want people to know a little bit about you. You know, I know Everyday Seeker is your brand, and that's what, you know, what you kind of go by, and have your own podcast as well. But let people know a little bit of who you are and in the healing metaphysical realm.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. My podcast has been in hibernation for a few years, I guess. And when I moved to LA like 3.5 years ago, I didn't really see things unfolding the way they have. All of this was like, Reiki, spirituality, readings, astrology, tarot, all of the things that I now do with clients were like not a career for me before, but like a side passion. And so I would talk on my podcast to other experts about those things.
And now you're the expert.
Now things have changed really organically over the last few years through like a total divine detour. Used to be a professional musician. Still, I guess technically I am that, but there's just a lot of things going on that have shifted and changed. So what I wanted to, I guess, talk about today that I work with my clients the most with and that I'm most passionate about right now are these two sort of opposing but tandem concepts in, you know, the New Age movement. And it's not even really the New Age movement. Like, these are old ideas. But most people know of the law of vibration as the law of attraction, right? Yeah. So law of attraction, we've actually never done an episode on that, which is sort of also really funny because we've really, at this point, there's like 75 episodes of Liberate the podcast out. And I'm sure it's been talked about like through all these episodes.
No, I mean, I don't think that, I'm sitting here, I'm the host of it. I don't think we've actually talked about what you think about, you bring about, you know?
Right, or what you are. You are is So I want to talk about that, and I refer to that as the law of vibration. It just has a little bit less attached to it, I guess, these days than the idea of the law of attraction, which is so coupled with The Secret. And I think I really, that's my working theory of things at this point in time. And I also think that it goes a little bit beyond that. I do believe that miracles are natural and possible at every point in time, that all kinds of crappy things are transmutable. The universe is like a great mystery to me. And one of the things that has come up so strongly this past week, even because the astrology transits right now are really intense for a lot of people. And so I'm teaching about the law of vibration and talking to my clients about what they can do to take responsibility for their own healing, how they can shift their own energy, and also how to lean on the force. which is a great mystery, but I have had these amazing experiences in my past that have really given me like a beautiful external validation of the existence of the force, some sort of higher mind, divine intelligence. I like the word God. It feels very parental to me, so I enjoy that. But it's the same thing as higher self, the universe, force, like all of that kind of thing. It's all the same. Supreme being, you know, it's inside of you, it's outside of you, it is the all that is. And I really believe that you can ask for help and you can receive help. And we actually talked about this a little bit in the Deep Cuts episode that we did. So on the one hand, you want to show up and take responsibility for your own healing, your own vibration, and you want to do everything you can do. And then on the other hand, you don't have to do it all by yourself. And A Course in Miracles has this beautiful saying, the presence of fear is a sure sign that you're relying on your own strength. And so there's just so much more going on, and I feel so sure of it because I've experienced things, like miraculous things in my life. The timing of it is another piece, because sometimes we can be in a really dark place and you might not get that external validation or that sign when you think you should be getting it, which is
or you might not be aware of it happening because
right?
you're in a dark place that you're not, you know, you see what you believe, so you're not even
there
seeing
is that side of the coin. But I still think if you really like, I mean, for me, that could have been happening for a long time, but I did at one point just get like this amazing sign out of the blue, and I'll share that in just a moment. And I think that my point being that you don't have to be a vibrational match to grace in order to receive grace. A lot of the time, if you think, and this is something that is just such a powerful concept and teaching for me. If I think about all the dark places that I've been in my life, and there have been like some really dark times in my past that I couldn't figure out. I mean, the more I tried to get out of them and the more I struggled, like the worse it was. I mean, anybody that's ever had a panic attack will tell you, you know, that's how it works, right? What you resist persists. So in that sense, I know that it wasn't, I mean, I did work my ass off to, you know, I did cognitive behavioral therapy, and I spent many years, and I have gotten out of those dark places, but I do think that grace was a huge piece of it. There have been lovely and beautiful things that have happened to me in my life that I can't explain. I mean, I know I wasn't a vibrational match to that. I was like just down in the gutter, and still somebody would come out of the woodworks to help, or something beautiful would happen. And so I really do believe that you can receive help, that good things happen sometimes out of the blue, despite like, you know, a super long stretch of just garbage and crap. I mean, if you ever even check out on Instagram, Humans of New York is like, there's some of the most amazing stories of people's lives. Like, they're very sad, but like these amazing miracles happen to people, and everyone should check that out. That's like the best thing on the internet. But,
well, your current state isn't your soul state, right? Your current vibration is not your soul vibration. So just because you have a vibrational, like maybe downward spiral that you might be in, the energy of your soul is always at a certain vibration, and that could be at the match.
That's very interesting. Yeah, so I would also say I don't proclaim to have all the answers either, and there's such an element of mystery about the divine to me. I just, it could be that, it could be...
But I mean, like, think of it like this way. Like, if you're, you know, if you're going through a bad time, but you're a good person, right? Your energy is a higher vibration. You're, you know, you're a good vibrational being. But the circumstances are lower vibrational circumstances, but the circumstances are not the individual. You know?
That's a really good way to think of it. I like that a lot.
So,
I really haven't. That's good. I'm like,
hey, you know?
Hey.
Sometimes I hit a home run.
So,
I want to get back to where you were saying that there's this experience that happened magically out of your life too. You were tapping into it. So I want to hear about some of these times that you're sharing, and that you've had these amazing, say, grace and attraction and help and assistance and miracles. You know?
And I want to acknowledge the fact again that I asked, because I have a lot of clients and know a lot of people that they're like, well, I asked for a sign and I didn't get it. And I'm like, well, I didn't get mine at the timing I would have liked to get it either. I would have liked to have it much sooner. I went through probably 15 years of up and down with, existential crisis, which, I could be good for a long periods of time, but for me it would manifest really as just like, oh my God, what even is this? And it was scary. Like I would have panic attacks and things like that. But ultimately, you move through layers of things. And I was living in New York City in 2015, and I kind of opened up Pandora's box of an old wound, and I got really triggered. I found an old journal, and I don't know, now I'm just like, throw it out. Oh my God, like move on. It's old energy. You don't need to keep this stuff. But I was reading it, and it opened up like something really old for me that was really terrifying. And I just went to a place that was like, I thought I moved through this. I thought I was over this. And for like a few months, I was sort of back into a really dark place, even though I thought I had been recovered and doing better for years. And it was dark. I mean, I remember just being like, I would like to believe in God, like all of those things. I certainly was already on the spiritual path, but I had certain issues. Like I'm a rational person. Like I came to my belief in God rationally. It needed to make sense. Like it really needed to make sense to me. So I was like,
I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't just blindly believe. And so I kind of threw myself, I was like, I need to know that you're there. Like I can handle even not understanding life. Like I can handle the mystery if I know for certain that there's something that's organizing it and that it's all just handled, like that there's some sort of sense to all of it, and goodness to all of it. So I was like, I just need that. I need that. And I really was like demanding, like, I don't know how I'm going to keep doing this. I need you to show up, like really. And it didn't happen right away, but I would say maybe like a month, I'm guessing, a month or 6 weeks after sort of those repeated prayers and like super anger towards God. I mean, like
what were the prayers?
Oh, I was just like, I mean, it was dark. Like, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to keep doing this in this meat suit. Like, I mean, didn't have any plans to do anything bad to myself, but I mean, it was on that level of like,
something needs to change or I'm going to change.
I was like, I need to know that this is going to be okay. I need to know there's a reason. I need to know this isn't like cosmic chaos. Like the suffering was so deep on some other personal level that, I was like, I can endure this if I know there's a reason or if I know there's but I really needed to know, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, I needed to know there was no faith for me without some sort of, God showing up in some way that was like irrefutable to me. So I was just like, I need help, like, show yourself.
Yeah.
And I was, driving home from a gig late one night because, and I was in a wedding band for many years, and it was a wonderful experience for many years. But also, I think
the wedding singer that was Rebekah.
ready to like move on to something new in my life, and it was really late. Like I spent many years driving back and forth between like Boston and New York, and I was just driving. I was like somewhere in Connecticut or something. It's like 4 a.m. whatever. And my phone goes, and I looked at my phone, and I wish I still had this, probably like somewhere on my Instagram from way back. And it was a text message from a random number. And it said something to the extent, it said everything I needed to hear. And it was like, you don't know me and I don't know you, but don't worry, I'm not a stalker. But you just never know when someone's having a really hard time. And I just want you to know that you're more beautiful than you could ever imagine and that God has a plan for you. So never give up because you're much stronger than you think. And like, cause I had been like, I was just like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was literally all of the things from like this random, and I looked up the area code. It was like a Connecticut area code. I even asked some of my close friends, I'm like, did you stage like a divine text message from like a random, and like, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, so I mean, I just like started crying, and I was like, okay, that's good enough for me. Like that was probably some high school student in Connecticut that, you know, wanted to send a nice message to someone, but to me that is God. Like God is the all that is, and it can work through any person, place, or thing, or situation, or circumstance at any time. And for me, the chances statistically that would A, happen, and B, like that person would like pick my phone number and say like exactly all of the things that I needed to. I mean, it's just like, come on, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's also funny because who knows why the timing. So I do have to acknowledge that, because I had been in a pretty dark place for like a little while at that time. So I don't know why that one particular night.
Yeah.
And that's part of the mystery that remains. And I tell my clients, I'm like, ask for help, ask for a big sign. I know you're going to get it. I don't know when you're going to get it. I hope it's soon so you can find some inner peace.
Yeah.
You know, but so, you know, I spend a lot of time now doing certain meditations and teaching meditations that are more like quantum shifting and law of vibration things. But I'm also like, when you come up against a piece of your life or a piece of yourself that seems immovable, seems like such a curse or a blockage, or just something that you've done all the things and you can't, and like the more that you try, and then you just get more and more mad because you can't fix it, it's like that's when you go to like the next level, and you know, you have to ask for help. But I really do. Have you ever had like anything like that happen where you've gotten a big sign? I'm curious.
I'm sure that not like that, of like this mysterious text message out of the blue, but you know, there's been signs or where I've met somebody and they say that they've been, you know, sent or looking for me and things like that. Like, I mean, I think if you go back to the episode with Beatrice, she'll talk about how she's seen visions of me and she had to try to find me instead of and you know, it was a sign that there's something bigger than, you know, whatever I'm doing that I'm supposed to do for the planet, who knows, you know, like, and so it makes me feel like there's been times like that where I've gotten these divine messages from individuals that let me know that there's a reason greater than my personal life that I need to keep on going for, right?
Yeah.
And that to me helps me know that all of this chaos and all of sometimes personal pain and, you know, stuff is like, okay, you know, there's something for whatever that's supposed to happen, that these random people come and, you know, share something, you know?
Yeah.
So I've had those types of signs, you know? And
it's different for each person because what you need might not be the same thing as what I need.
Yeah.
And the Force, I love like talking in Jedi lingo about it. Like the Force knows, you know, it knew that I'm like a stubborn bitch and like I needed, you know, forgive my French. I needed like something really concrete and like, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's amazing. Know. I mean, what are the statistical chances? Yeah, I mean, that's like winning the lottery, right? You know,
I get other things like that now, like sort of on, I mean, that's definitely the biggest one I've ever gotten. But like ever since then, I was just like, all right, it's great. Everything's good. Like, I was like, I totally was able to I was like, I can handle anything now. Yeah. Knowing that there is something beyond like beyond me, that it all somehow there's something good beyond me, and that I'm just a part of it, and I'm held in the lap of that, even if it's a mystery, even if I have to like, you know, go through some dark stuff or whatever, I can take it. And so I've never been the same since that night. And now I feel like I'm maybe more vibrational match to receiving things, because I do get other like weirdly concrete like external validation. Like I get it all the time. It's not like I hear voices of guides or anything. Like people show up with like physical items. I'm like I said the same kind of prayer to Mother Mary, you know, for some meditation, and I'm not like one of those healers that's able to connect with guides and hear voices and have like conversations with like entities or ascended masters or anything. But I was like, felt a presence, and I was like, I need a really concrete sign, like a really concrete sign, not like angel numbers on a license plate, but like something big. And
Not angel numbers.
I see, like, you see them a lot, right? So it's like, it needed to be like, something really big. And that's when I met Johnny, who was also on this podcast forever ago, who has the spiritual haircuts episode.
Yeah.
The first time I met him, the night before, I had said this prayer to I was like, if you're really real, I would love for you to show up, but like, I really need like an irrefutable, concrete, like, muggle sign, And the next day, he walked into Emporium, and he met me for the first time, and he just looked at me, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Oh my God, Mother Mary is all over you." And I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, I was just like, "That's good enough for me. Like, what more do you want, right?" So like these crazy, I was praying to her like last month. I was in the hospital getting some tests, and I was just feeling like vulnerable, and I was praying to the Blessed Mother, and like a couple hours later, Paul, who works here at the shop, showed up with like a Blessed Mother medallion that he'd gotten as a gift for me that day at a thrift shop. And he's like, "Here, I got this for you." Like, like, I'm just like, this, it's almost like hilariously endless now, the examples that I can cite. But I will tell you, for like the first 15 years, I didn't get like anything really. Like, I had other grace show up to me in the form of like kind people, or like, just getting by the seat of my pants or whatever. But now I get like these amazing, cool, to me, I mean, maybe to somebody else, they wouldn't be, that wouldn't be enough, but I'm like, that's enough for me. Like, I'm good. So, I just want that for all my clients. Like, I want everybody to have that experience of that, having that strong of faith to know that they are held in the palm of something greater. Yeah. And they're a piece of it, because like once you have that inner peace, it can never be taken from you. And when you don't have it, it's so much harder.
Well, yeah, because then you lose something called hope.
Or you're just in fear all the time.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, and the fear,
and you can still have fear.
Fear is absence of, hope and trust, right? If you trust, then you know that everything, it's like saying, like, you can't take that hope from somebody. The day that you take that hope, then you take away somebody's will, right? Because if they believe, or they hope, or they can like dream that something will get better, and have that intention out there, they can keep on going. Yeah. Right? But if they don't, they start to feel defeated.
Yeah, it's funny because there's like two sides of that coin too. So like that would generally be believing in goodness and love, and like that things can improve, and I'm all for that. Sometimes there's like a certain something we're really attached to that we want to happen in a certain way. Like I want this relationship with this person, or I want this job, or I want, like, it has to be X, Y, or Z, and you just, for whatever reason, like life is like, right?
But that gets to be attachment, right? When you're attached to a specific instead of a general, you can have a job that's super fulfilling, you can have a relationship that is loving and amazing, but if you attach that it has to be this person, or it has to be this career or this job, well, you might not know what's best for you. And you might... There might be something greater if you're so attached to this. I need this stage, and yet, maybe there's, if I can't have this, it got sold out, but then there's like this lavender bundle that's waiting for me, right? But I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And I think anybody that has had a few relationships in their life, or a few jobs in their life, can see how when one ends, a new one begins, and the new one offers something different. And sometimes it can be worse, and sometimes it can be better, But it's different, and the more that those differences go, and sometimes it can be so amazing that they don't even realize that that's what they were looking for.
Exactly. Like, even... having like these crazy sinus issues that have kind of benched me as a singer the last few years has been like the greatest blessing. Like, I can't even begin to tell you, and before, like, being a singer was my whole identity. It was like, I was good. I was pretty good, but like I was, I can't do any of that anymore. And I wasn't like the best, I'm not being like I was the best singer, like so many people better than me, but I was good.
We might have some clips of her when she did singing even here at Liberate Hollywood not too long ago. She still can sing Like,
but
amazing.
It's funny because like that whole path for me, as much as the like singing was like deeply joyful for me, I mean, now you just go somewhere else when I'm doing it. And anybody that's involved in music really will tell you that, or like anything you're passionate about, probably really. So there was that element that was really pure for me, but like my path as an artist was like just stressful and disappointing and a struggle. And that was like all of my own spiritual work that needed to happen around that. So I was forced to find out who I was without this voice. And it was like the only thing about myself that I felt good about before. And I'm like this whole other person. I'm like, oh, there's like all this other parts of me, you know, and now I can come to music as such a more, like from a more pure place and connect and use it in service and healing and just for joy. I don't have like all this ego attachment. So losing my voice or my ability to do this thing that I really loved and still love was like one of the greatest blessings. So yeah, there's always so much happening that we can't see or understand. And I don't mean to like lessen anyone's pain. I mean, when you're going through something really dark and like grief and loss and just horrible challenges, horrible pain, like I'm not like, oh, everything's rosy. Like I am a little bit of a shameless optimist, but I honor and recognize how hard that is for people. And that's when you need to like lean on this great mystery, the force, like even more so. And that's where I'm like, beg for a sign. That's what I did. I mean, I was like curled up at my altar crying.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's hearing the words that you're sharing about, you know, that, you know, I think that it's not about lessening somebody's pain. It's about giving them that encouragement that maybe this could be one of the better things that are happening for them, not to them, right?
Yeah.
And that once the pain starts to clear and the awareness of what maybe is present or what opportunities the present has, one can maybe possibly start to change the perception and see it as a gift.
Yeah, I feel like it's really tough to do when you're in it.
Oh,
but
of
eventually
course.
But eventually it always sort of does happen. I mean, in astrology, that's like Pluto's job, right? It like takes everything, it destroys that one place that you like project your power into. Like, I need this thing, this person, this like take anything but this, right? There's like something that you'll cling to, and then sure enough, you'll wind up like that'll be just transmuted or pulverized, and you have to like figure out who you are and what everything is without that. And it's the most painful thing you can ever go through, and also the most empowering, because you're not projecting your power into this like false place anymore. You have to, it's literally hilarious. It's like, you know, the Wizard of Oz, or like every archetypal story. It's like the power was within you all along, my dear, you know, like, but it's like they have to take that, you know, thing sometimes away in order for you to discover that. So,
and to realize the importance of it. It's like, you know, you don't know what you have until it's gone type of scenario, right? But if life is this duality of lessons and growth, you know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the grace piece of it, which we really just, that's like the meat of the sandwich, I guess, for me these days. And I just wish for everybody to have an experience where they feel seen, heard by the force and held, even if they don't understand exactly what's going on, and even if it's not a walk in the park at this point in time. And so just ask for that and trust that it is coming. And even if you can't trust, just continue to ask. Eventually that will pop, even if, you know, hopefully you won't have to wait so long for whatever, you know, it'll come in whatever form you need. And I pray for you and hope that you get that sooner than later. But, you know, that's the mystery of divine timing, is sometimes, you know, that's like the hardest piece.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's just like waiting and not understanding. But in terms of the flip side of that coin, which is like the law of vibration.
Yeah, let's hear a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so that's like the idea that, or the law of attraction, right, which is more commonly known as in this day and age. Teal Swan put it so perfectly. She's another spiritual teacher. If you don't know her, you can look her up. She's controversial, but I love her. And she calls it the law of mirroring. So it's whatever you're being or whatever you're feeling is being mirrored back to you by your external life.
I subscribe to that fully. I mean,
you're a hypnotherapist, so everything you know about the subconscious mind, like there's a lot that's in the subconscious that we're feeling that we don't even realize, right?
Well, even let's just take the simplicity of like you wake up and you're having a bad day and bad things happen. You wake up having a good day and good things happen. I mean, the other day I was at wonderful Home Depot and I was getting mad at my friend was with me and he was taking forever being a little poker. And I was like, and I love him. He's like my straight husband if I was straight. And I was like, come on, and I was getting frustrated and irritated. And then I ended up going out to the car and he finally comes out, and then we pull up and we're in the loading zone for 2 seconds, and we get this, unjust parking ticket. But of course my vibration was so low and negative that I manifested this like parking ticket situation to happen. And then it became this, everybody's going to yelly and match with the parking people. I mean, it was just ridiculous, and then I had to reset myself because otherwise my day would have continued. But I was like, it was because I got angry at Curtis at Home Depot. I got a parking ticket, but it's like there's been days where I've been like da 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 da, and in good moods and good spirits, and I could be parked in the red and never get a parking ticket.
Right.
I think that happened like on New Year's, even though it was stressful. We had a New Year's event. I parked my car, was in the red the whole night.
Oh my God.
Because I never had a chance to move it, but I never got a parking ticket. And here I'm in a loading zone for less than 5 minutes that's legal, and I got a parking ticket.
Son of a gun.
But it's the energy, right? But that's the silliness of a parking ticket. But how often does that happen like on a magnified way for people?
Well, people don't see it. So this is the thing that I wanted to talk to you about being a hypnotherapist, because when and I know for me, like one of my big things that I struggled with in my life until recently, and it's like, we're not done. We're still working on ourselves over here, but it's just being single for a long time, or like having short relationships and not having like a stable partnership, right? So this is a really common thing that people will come in to Liberate, with this type of pattern that just like repeats. They have rejection issues, abandonment issues, self-esteem issues, betrayal issues, but usually whatever it is that happens, that whatever scenario or scene plays out in their relationships is like, even if it's a little bit different from relationship to relationship, like the feelings that get triggered at the end of the day are like exactly the same. I'm like, oh, I felt this like the same way at the end of in every relationship, right? So it's like clearly I'm looking and seeing what that's a vibration that I'm carrying. That's a trauma I'm carrying. That's a wound I'm carrying. I may or may not be aware of it. And so I feel like most people kind of aren't unless they start, reading more spiritual literature and getting into this kind of thing. So when people are carrying these vibrations subconsciously, like they're not aware of it, I would love to hear what you would say on that, because there's like that question that everybody always asks, well, when you get cancer, is it your fault? Like stuff like that. I mean, it's just like, those are hard questions. And to be honest with you, I don't fully have the answers. Maybe there is some sort of divine plan where you, like maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Maybe it is completely your own subconscious vibration that makes you sick. Well, right? Maybe it's not. Like, I honestly don't know. But
it's when do you take responsibility for cause of your life, right? And if you take responsibility for cause in your life, there might be things that are outside of your control that happen, but there's always action states of being within your control that can alleviate, adjust, or transmute, right?
Woo! Mic drop. Okay.
And so maybe you can say, oh, okay, let's hit it big. The sickness, a disease, cancer per se. People like, okay, in no way am I saying that, people need that cancer is not horrible and that people aren't suffering and everything along those lines. Absolutely they are. But where in their life have they, at least at some point, not taken care of their health, not allowed themselves to look at their emotional state and work on traumas or anger or rejection or issues in their life? Where have they, not nurtured their well-being, right? And then even in all of that, even if they're doing everything right? What is that lesson that, where are they taking that from there, right? And then there's that empowerment and that peace, right? And my dad is suffering with cancer right now, and he should have been gone a long time ago. It's
amazing.
And he changed his diet. He started working on himself. He started, reading all these books of natural health. He shifted everything.
He's healed some of his relationships.
He's been having conversations, calling his daughters regular, and there's all of these changes. And here's somebody that, had a tumor pressing against his heart that was so big that they couldn't operate, and then he ended up having an emergent surgery, and then within a couple weeks it grew back bigger, and then yet he's still there, right? I mean, this is like a shock, right? But
it's been like a year basically that they were saying he's gonna go.
Yeah. And so, but on that, we can't look at the idea that there's these other aspects that he chose to be at cause. And that choose to be at cause of how can I, do more to empower myself more, because I still want to live, right?
Right.
And, it's how can somebody so to go back to your question about people that are coming in and saying, well, it's not my fault that I got cancer, or I don't even see the pattern that I'm dating the same person just with a different head. It's like at a certain point, somebody needs to step back and say, in what aspect am I responsible for the circumstances, conditions, and outcomes in my life? And
even if it's not their fault, they didn't do it on purpose, but in what way
are they responsible? Right?
Yeah, what way can I change things?
Because on some level, they've stepped into it, right?
Yeah.
And on some level, they either didn't step out of it, right?
Yeah, and it is hard, not to be let's just change everything. I'm currently obsessed with Dr. Joe Dispenza, so if none of you guys have heard, anybody that has not heard of him, please check him out. He is walking the talk. I mean, he healed his spine with his mind, and people with stage 4 cancer. I mean, there's hundreds of documented cases of people just miraculous, what do they call it? Spontaneous remissions and things like that. And one of the things that he talks about is that you have to become greater than your environmental conditions. And that's very difficult, but it can be done. But it requires commitment, because a lot of the time, you have your life set up in a certain way, and you just have your little programs that are running.
Yeah.
Subconscious programming that's been there since God knows how long, and the older you get, the deeper entrenched it becomes. And so it does require a lot of effort. A lot of effort and motivation to decide, all right, I'm going to go against the grain. And but it can be done. And so sometimes doing little things, he'll have retreats or whatever, intensives where you can, it's easier if you leave your city, or you go to a totally new place to have these changes. And it's harder for people when they get back into
because they have things called the triggers.
And it's reinforced. Yeah.
These anchors are triggers in your life. So that's, it's knowing that, because you're going against a current, right? If every day you walk into the kitchen and the first thing you normally do is X, Y, and Z because you're triggered and you see all of the little things, right? Let's say even if somebody's trying to quit coffee, they walk in the kitchen and it's there's the coffee maker, there's the bean crusher, there's the things, and it's you walk in and you start to do your routine, right? Yeah. If there's a certain routine that people have when they get home at night, is there a certain routine where they pass certain things? But yeah, it's knowing. So how do you shift it? How do you wake up earlier, go to bed earlier or later? How do you mess up your routine slightly if you are staying in your own environment. Otherwise, you're just left to your own devices. Most of the things we do every day are unconscious.
And you have to really want it, which is why, like, actually, I'm glad we got to this point in the conversation, because this is the one thing that's, like, so fantastic about when you're in, like, the worst place ever, is because if your life isn't that bad, it's just kind of like, okay, but you're maybe not like living out to your full potential, or you're not really on the level that you want to be, but like you're not suffering that badly. You're not uncomfortable enough to make those changes. Most people aren't. And so the best thing about being in a horrible place that you can barely stand, I mean, you cannot stand it. It's like unbearable, your level of suffering. That's when you're going to be like, all right, screw this. Like, what is it going to take? You know, and you're going to be motivated enough to do something about it. And that's when, like, people do. So for anybody that might be listening to this right now that's, like, feeling super overwhelmed and, like, you know, like, things are maybe not, like, they're maybe really not good right now, that's, like, great news. Because, and for me, too, the biggest flip in my script that I had, other than get the text from God that I got,
the flip in my script that I had. I like that.
Yeah. I remember when I first started having panic attacks, which was the result of a particular trauma I had when I was 18. Like, it was a couple of really rugged years. And I needed medication for a minute just to calm my system down. And then I haven't been on medication for like a couple decades. And like, that's why I'm like, medication is great for people. Sometimes they might need it their whole life and sometimes not. But like, I never talk smack about medication because it can just calm your system long enough for you to get a grip. But I was doing a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, and like, I was suffering so bad. I was exhausted. Like, I did not have the energy to think a positive thought or to change my thinking. But I also didn't have the energy to have another freaking panic attack. And so I had to make a choice. And I just had to. I had no choice. The suffering was less. And I started to shift my thinking, and I dug myself out of that. Like, within a few months, I thought, okay, we'll see if I can come off these antidepressants, which I didn't have depression, but like they're prescribed a lot at that time, probably still are, just to calm panic attacks. Yeah. Like super classic SSRIs. And I thought, well, we'll see. Maybe I'll always need them. And if I do, that's okay. Like, that's where I was, right? And I was like, that's great. But I was able to come off them, and I used cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's the same, like, that's the same thing as like Esther Hicks and like all these people are talking about, like, changing your thoughts, really. Yeah. And it's like pushing a house up a hill sometimes, but once you do it, oh my God, the momentum you get. Like, I couldn't believe, like, my whole life turned around so fast. Some of the biggest, craziest, awesomest things that have ever happened to me in the few months following that transition.
Wow.
I was a singer, even though I was really young. I was like 18, 19, and I had like a scholarship to Berklee College of Music, and like a benefactor who helped me pay for my school. Like, my family doesn't have the money for that. And I know, because I was riding so high, like, for having come out of that dark place, like, my energy, I was a vibrational match to like a miracle. I mean, that was a miracle. I would have just been like a waitress in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and a singer, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I was in university. I went and studied psychology because I was like so obsessed with my panic attacks that I wanted to know exactly what was wrong with me. And I was like afraid I was crazy and all these things. You know, I was like, let me figure all this out. Let me just figure it all out. And then everything will be fine once I understand all of it. Right. Yeah, right. But so, that was like a really, really tough time for me. Like, that was the darkest time I'd ever been in my life. And like, hence these other cycles of it. Every few years I would have like I was afraid to go back to that place.
Yeah.
Right? So I would get triggered periodically. And it was tough for me because it was an existential crisis. I'm like, is there a God? Is this just all cosmic chaos? Like, what is this? Like, what even is life? That's what
we've all been there, right?
My dear sweet boyfriend Benny is always like, what even is life? He says that, and I'm like, bingo, that's exactly it. But coming from that,
it's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, like, what even is
what
this?
do we do? We're sitting here talking on a camera so that you guys can listen to it at home. So we're chit-chatting about theories of everything. I mean,
it's so crazy.
Well, I eat barf, drink barf.
Oh, woof. And then I saw this great meme the other day that speaks to that. It's like so simple. It's like 1, we're in space. 2, oh wait, now I can't remember what it is, but it's like, no one knows what's going on. 3, I love you. Like, all of existence can be like broken down to that simple. Like, 1, we're in space. 2, no one knows what's going on. 3, I love you.
That's so true.
Isn't that beautiful? So anyway,
nobody really knows what's going on. We're sharing with you our experiences. Take what works for you, leave the rest.
These are the working theories of the moment, right? And that's as good as it's going to get right now. But, I have found peace within myself in the great mystery. So I've used all these tools to pull myself out of lower vibrations, to choose consciously different thoughts, which is hard, but once you start doing it and you pick up a little momentum, and like, you have to have that fire under your ass, because if you're not suffering, it's a lot harder to make yourself do it. But like, oh my God, amazing things. Like, the next year I was living in Boston, and like at Berklee College of Music, it was like the happiest I'd ever been in my life. I was like, oh my God, I manifested like all this crazy stuff, right? It was like amazing. So it's really incredibly good news, and I'm sorry if any of you guys are having a hard time, but just like, if you devote yourself to the practice of shifting your thoughts, opening yourself to the possibility that things can be different, and that everything is transmutable. I mean, like, everything can shift in a second.
And Rebekah, you help people get there too, and you do so, here in person, but also, over the phone and Skype sessions and well, so... there can be assistance. It's not that anybody needs to do it alone. And so you can hear the things that we're saying, and if you're inspired and there's ways, we're here to help, right? You're here to help.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on all day. There's a zillion topics, but maybe, that's probably like sufficient for today, is just reaching out, getting help from friends, getting help from practitioners. If you're in a dark place, that's kind of like the number one thing to do. If you don't, reach out to call friends, like, don't isolate. And then if you don't have any friends, call me. I'm here.
Or sometimes it's good to get things from people that don't know you too.
That's very true. Very true. I know that we've been talking for quite some time, but I am curious if you have a particular example of the law of vibration manifesting in your life too. I know there must be like a whole bunch actually, but
I guess I'll give like the most recent one of the law of vibration manifesting is, every Friday I do these abundance meditations and prosperity meditations for people, and as the practitioner or the facilitator, just as you're giving and helping and leading, you are also healing and helping and leading yourself. And so I'm working on having everybody do prosperity, manifesting, getting better and better within those levels. And, I manifested a huge film fund, and so, which more money than, I could ever know what to do with. I mean, I'll figure out what to do with it, but
I'm sure you'll find somewhere to put it.
But, so here I'm having people see that there's unlimited potential in what they can have as far as prosperity and abundance. And in that same course of events, I'm manifesting that for, myself and my projects. And so
and working in the subconscious mind too, because that's where that's why it's so hard.
Well, and that's what it is, the meditation is a subconscious, it's a theta state, right? And so we're reprogramming, and then while I lead, I channel, so I'm kind of off into my little old world too, with my theta state, and boom.
Yeah. I would love to do actually like a part B to this podcast where we talk about specific techniques to help people with shifting the subconscious, because we didn't even get to any of that. And it's like there's so many things that tools that I use and that she uses to help you shift the subconscious. But this is where you work with the law of vibration. So hypnotherapy, Christina's available for... Do you do distance work too?
I do, but I have to say... as my life is getting busier, I'm not going to be really seeing many clients, We have
Jerome here, though, who's excellent.
Jerome and Lonnie. They're both, and Parker does hypnotherapy as well.
Awesome.
So, a few great hypnotherapists and, a lot of the energy healers that we have here, they do energy healing. Some of them do theta energy healing, which is also that transformative and transmuted. Yeah. And sharing and changing and being and shifting your energy so you can shift your unconscious is also super powerful. And having a voice and a backdrop to talk about and see that higher perspective with any of the intuitive readings. But
big time. So if you are in LA, you can come through to Christina's meditation, which is, when is it?
Friday.
Fridays at what time?
11.
Fridays at 11 a.m. And that does help you work with the subconscious programming. And I have a new meditation most Monday nights, except the last Monday night of the month at 7 o'clock, which is Back to the Future meditation. So it's it's very based on Joe Dispenza's techniques, but I throw tons of my own stuff in. And basically we go into the quantum field and then we visualize future possibilities for your life that are desired in the quantum field, but you want to go through you want to get into a theta brainwave state before you get there, where you're receptive and you can supersede old programming, so that you can come to that meditation with me every week. It's going to be different. There's different techniques explored, but it's to try to essentially clean out some old junk and invest your energy into your future and what you want, and just cut through negative beliefs and realize what's possible and shift into that. So there's a whole bunch of techniques we use to get into that meditation. And the biggest key I want to leave people with is that, and Joe Dispenza teaches this too, is elevated emotion. Because if you're feeling an elevated emotion or love in your heart, even if sometimes it can be good if you're feeling a little tender and a little woundy, but it's bittersweet, that's a powerful, good emotion too. And you just draw everything to you in that feeling state. The more you can be feeling really, really deeply these elevated emotions, that's what's so powerful even about Jay's meditation and the Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
And check that episode out. That's a whole other podcast episode. But it's once you conjure up those feeling states in your heart, literally crazy stuff happens. Amazing crazy stuff just starts happening. So there's a zillion techniques that can help you get there. But
so feel into what feels right for you.
Yeah, exactly. And you can try we do this thing, what ifing all the time, which leads us down this super negative, what if would be a good example. What if I don't feel good today, and what if I can't do my job, and what if they fire me, and then what if I become homeless and I die alone on the street? It's literally that intense for people. You don't realize that you do that, but you'll have this one mundane thought, and the next thing you know, you're dying alone, homeless on the street, or people do it with health and stuff all the time. So flip the script on that and do a positive what ifing. Yeah, what if everything's actually fine? What if this good thing that I want that's been stuck for a long time could actually shift? Yeah. What if there's someone that could help me? What if I actually could miraculously shift into this new state of being, and I could finally have enough money to pay all my bills, and I could finally meet the love of my life, and everything could. What if this could work? Yeah. So go there instead, and we're here to support you. There's all kinds of different practitioners here that are doing this work, and there's so many different modalities. So
and there's Rebekah,
and there's me.
She's not giving herself some kudos there, but thank you, Rebekah.
Thanks, Christina.
It's a pleasure. We'll do part B.
Part B.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Later. Thank you.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this conversation, like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you want some more amazing resources on your path of liberation, head over to liberateyourself.com and sign up for our mailing list. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram at Liberate Hollywood, all one word, or Liberate Emporium, all one word. Until next time, liberate yourself.